August 10th, 2025, a date etched in the annals of a conflict that has gripped the world's attention. The world watches anxiously, every headline, every broadcast scrutinized for signs of what comes next. As Israel signals a major military push, a decisive move that could alter the course of the war. The objective? To seize Gaza City, a move that could reshape the conflict's future and potentially redraw the geopolitical map of the region. After nearly 2 years of war, a relentless and devastating conflict, Gaza is devastated, its infrastructure shattered, its landscape scarred by the ravages of war, its people trapped in crisis, facing unimaginable hardship and uncertainty. The prospect of a full-scale occupation, a scenario fraught with peril, has triggered global alarm, prompting urgent calls for de-escalation and restraint. Gaza City, still densely populated despite destruction, a testament to the resilience of its people, faces the threat of urban warfare, a brutal and unforgiving form of combat, raising fears of massive civilian casualties, a humanitarian catastrophe of immense proportions. Aid groups and diplomats warn, with increasing urgency, this escalation could push the region, already teetering on the brink, past the point of no return, igniting a wider conflict with devastating consequences, undermining hopes for peace, and extinguishing any remaining chance for a negotiated settlement. Israel's plan is seen as a rejection, a decisive departure from established norms of the two-state solution, a framework that has long been the basis for international efforts to resolve the conflict, challenging international consensus, and defying the will of the global community, and deepening political divides, both within Israel and across the international landscape. The world's response has been swift and critical, a chorus of condemnation echoing from capitals around the globe, with leaders fearing this move. This bold and potentially reckless gamble will only fuel more violence and suffering, perpetuating a cycle of bloodshed and despair. The fate of hostages and the humanitarian crisis, two intertwined tragedies that demand immediate attention, are at the forefront as the world grapples with the immense human cost of this conflict. As many argue, a military takeover, a forceful imposition of control, could endanger lives rather than save them, exacerbating the already dire humanitarian situation. With military strategic calculations driving the conflict, political diplomatic maneuvering shaping the global response, and humanitarian stakes at their highest, the situation in Gaza hangs in the balance. Israel faces mounting global opposition, a wave of international condemnation to its Gaza City operation, a military endeavor that carries immense risks and uncertain rewards. International condemnation is nearly unanimous. 9 Western allies, including the UK, France, Canada, and Germany, have publicly rejected Israel's planned offensive. Over 20 regional powers, Egypt, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the UAE, joined in, calling the move a dangerous escalation. Germany, long a key Israeli ally, has halted new military exports to Israel, signaling a major policy shift. The UN and EU have also condemned the plan, demanding a ceasefire and a return to diplomacy. This rare global consensus leaves Israel increasingly isolated, as even its closest partners urge restraint. The world's message is clear. Further escalation threatens humanitarian law and regional stability. The international outcry is fueled, growing louder with each passing day. It's a response to Gaza's dire humanitarian crisis, a situation that continues to deteriorate. The scale of devastation is immense. Civilians, facing unimaginable hardship, risk their lives daily for basic aid, for the chance to secure food and water for their families. These desperate attempts often have deadly consequences, adding to the already staggering loss of life. Recent reports compiled by various news outlets and humanitarian organizations confirmed that Israeli forces killed aid seekers. These incidents occurred at distribution points, places where people were simply trying to obtain essential humanitarian aid. The military denies involvement in these specific incidents, but the accounts from the ground paint a different picture. Eyewitnesses describe scenes of utter chaos and fear, a desperate scramble for survival amidst the ongoing conflict. They report snipers and tanks firing, creating an environment of extreme danger and panic. The result is desperate crowds fleeing in terror, seeking any semblance of safety. Gaza's health system, already weakened, is now collapsing under the immense strain. In just one day, a heartbreaking 11 adults died from malnutrition, a stark indicator of the widespread hunger. Since June, the situation has only worsened. Over 100 have perished due to starvation and related complications. This includes nearly 100 children, a generation being decimated by preventable hunger. Hospitals are completely overwhelmed with patients suffering from injuries, disease, and severe malnutrition. Medical staff are exhausted and resources are depleted, making aid nearly impossible to deliver to those who desperately need it. Any further military escalation, especially in densely populated areas like Gaza City, could completely cut off the last remaining lifelines for millions of civilians trapped in Gaza. Aid groups warn, a new offensive will only deepen the existing starvation and unimaginable suffering. The world's concern is not just abstract. It's rooted in the very real and immediate danger to the millions of civilians trapped in Gaza, facing a crisis of unprecedented proportions. Even in Washington, support for Israel is fracturing. 5 senior Democratic senators, including committee chairs, have condemned the planned Gaza City takeover. They warn that a full invasion could kill hostages and worsen the humanitarian disaster. Their statement signals a shift. Unconditional US support is no longer guaranteed. This dissent pressures the Biden administration to urge Israel toward restraint and diplomacy. The senators' message: only a political solution can protect lives and end the crisis. Amidst the palpable tension and uncertainty, fragile ceasefire talks continue, representing a glimmer of hope in a region scarred by conflict. The weight of the world rests on these negotiations. Mediators from Egypt playing a crucial role in facilitating dialogue, Qatar leveraging its diplomatic influence, and the US are actively pushing for a deal, a comprehensive agreement that addresses the core issues. The proposed framework involves all hostages being released in exchange for a permanent end to the war, a cessation of hostilities that could bring much-needed relief. But the looming threat of a new offensive continues to overshadow negotiations, casting a dark shadow over any potential progress. This raises profound fears and anxieties for both the hostages held captive and the countless civilians caught in the crossfire. Even Israel's own security officials are beginning to warn that a large-scale invasion of Gaza City could significantly endanger the lives of the hostages. The world's unified opposition to further escalation reflects a growing belief that more violence will only deepen the existing catastrophe. Allies standing in solidarity, lawmakers across the globe, and international bodies are collectively urging Israel to prioritize diplomacy and de-escalation over further destruction and military action. The stakes are undeniably clear. Any further escalation will inevitably lead to more suffering, more loss, and a worsening of the already dire humanitarian crisis. Therefore, peace remains the only viable path forward, the only hope for the safety and well-being of Gaza's civilians and the safe return of the hostages. As these critical talks continue, the world fervently pleads for a different path, one that prioritizes the preservation of life and the pursuit of lasting peace over the devastating consequences of continued war.